Hello and welcome to the Flagstaff County podcast. I'm your host, Cary Castagna, Communications Coordinator for Flagstaff County. Joining me today is Markus Weber from LandView. Welcome, Markus.
Thanks for having me.
You're listening to the official podcast of Flagstaff County.
First off, tell us a little bit about LandView and your role.
So LandView has been selling drones specifically to farmers and agronomists and ranchers since 2015. We started with fixed wing drones, thinking we needed to scan every acre, and then over the years kind of morphed into selling other drones for finding cattle and for weed scouting. And then the most exciting thing is we're really into the spraying drones now, and that's what usually gets most of the farmers excited as well.
Oh yeah, the technology is fascinating. So what's your position? Like you're the owner, right? You run
Yeah,
the
I'm the
LandView.
owner of LandView, and I develop all the curriculum. We've really focused on training being important. A tool is just another tool, like a hammer or a shovel, and if you don't know how to use them properly, then they give you half the value.
Oh,
And
for
so
sure.
I own the company. I develop all the curriculum. I taught many of the classes myself over the years, and now we have a whole team of instructors working with us.
All right. So what led you to focus on drone technology in agriculture and what has been your journey so far?
So the real trigger was one particular land deal. There was a land deal signed based on next spring's seeded acres. And lo and behold, it was a drown out year. And the bone of contention on this 12,000 acre land deal was how many seeded acres are there? And at the time, this was 2014, 2015. It really, the whole deal focused on how many seeded acres there are. And we all realized that a drone could really do that better than anything else that was on the market at the time. And we had a whiteboard session where we wrote down all the many uses that you could make of a drone in agriculture and filled the whiteboard, and we went all in at that point.
Yeah, I saw your quote on I think it was on your website. It says, the sky is not the limit. It, it's pretty well limitless as far
It's
as the
limitless. The
possibilities.
sky's an opportunity. When you don't need to drive through a crop and you can do things from the air, you can get a lot done in a day.
Oh, yeah. Now, Flagstaff County and the Strome Ag Society have partnered to present a two-day ag drone school led by LandView. And the Ag Drone School is scheduled for November 7th and 8th in Strome. Can you talk a little bit about the Ag Drone School? First of all, what can participants expect to learn?
So the majority of participants that come there don't have any experience with drones at all. And so I encourage everybody to come, but 90% of them have lots of farm experience.
Oh, yeah.
So they're coming there to learn about the drone as a farm tool. They can expect to learn how to actually use it, how to fly it if they've never flown one before, how to program it to map a full field, how to process that data. And we also get them certified so that they're operating legally because it's a requirement from Transport Canada for every larger drone.
Okay, and what types of drones and technology will be featured or demonstrated during the 2 days?
So there's actually very little demonstrating by our team. It's the participants themselves that fly the drones. So on day one, we fly really small ones inside the hall to get them started. And then on day two, they are flying thermal drones that you would use for finding cattle. They're flying multispectral drones for mapping crops. They even get to fly a small spraying drone. It's under the 25 kilogram limit so that it's legal for them, so that they can try all those things for themselves.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, sounds like it's going to be a good 2 days. So, in your experience, are there a lot of farmers out in this area that are already using drones, or have you sold a lot of drones out this way?
There are definitely some, but the peer-to-peer network on drone users on the farm is pretty distant. Everybody knows
Yeah.
somebody that lives an hour or more away that's also using drones. It's definitely not every farmer at this point. And that's one of the reasons we bring these schools to the small community halls and to small agricultural communities so that they can learn from each other. That's one of the biggest things that comes out of these schools is when you get 20 farmers, most of them tend to be leading edge farmers in the area, coming together to talk about this tool. It leads to a lot of networking too.
Oh, yeah. So how can farmers and landowners benefit from using drones in their operations? I mean, you mentioned spraying and you mentioned, mapping the crops. Can you kind of go into what other uses they can take advantage of?
One of the first sessions that they'll participate in on November 7th is 101 uses for drones on the farm.
101.
And we've gone over 101 now for different uses. And every one of those provides real value. When you boil it down though, it really comes down to either saving time, saving money, or figuring out a problem that you didn't know you had on the farm. And that's probably the biggest one for most initial drone users. It doesn't take much to see trampling by elk or moose out in a field from the air. And often you don't discover that until you're out in the swather. And at that point, it's too late to make a claim. So I've had lots of customers that made one claim that paid for their drone for wildlife trampling, as an example. Then from there, you go to more uses where it's more about collecting data. So creating variable rate fungicide prescriptions or a variable rate, an on-off spot spray for Canada thistle or something like that. And then at the far end is using drones to apply product. Herbicides for agricultural use, unfortunately, aren't approved yet, nor are fungicides or insecticides for agricultural use. That'll be coming in the next few years. But what they can do already is apply fertilizer products. They can seed cover crops. I have people applying precision cover crop prescriptions where they're putting down saline tolerant species on parts of the field that's otherwise growing nothing. So, I mean,
Mhm.
that's a long answer to say that there's a much longer answer out there, and we discuss a lot of those at the school.
Okay, so herbicide and fungicide, not legal yet,
So they're off label at this
off
point,
label.
which is essentially illegal. Farmers, even on their own land, are not supposed to be applying any herbicide, insecticide, or fungicide. The only products approved across Canada, there's 3 larvicides for mosquito control, and there's one herbicide product. Garlon XRT was approved last summer, but it's for industrial use. So power line right of ways, pipelines, that type of thing.
Oh, okay. So how far are we? You said a few years, but it's going to be coming up quick.
Well, in the
Would you?
States, they're doing it now, right?
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, every morning I wake up hoping that our regulators have figured out that this is a safer way to apply the same product that you could apply by backpack sprayer or manned aircraft. But that day hasn't come yet. So I'm hoping it happens any day, but realistically, I think we're still quite a few years out because currently the chemical manufacturers need to bring an application for each drone, for each label, if they want to have it approved for drone application here in Canada. Whereas in the
Oh,
States, they can apply products at aerial label rates with a drone.
oh, okay. Huh. Yeah, I thought it was already in use, but I guess that's just the US then, eh?
You may have come
Yeah.
across people that are using it that way. There certainly are some farmers applying off label.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, where is technology use at currently when it comes to farms in rural areas?
We estimate about 25% of farms have a drone on the farm, and 25% of those actively use them as part of the farming operation. So we're down
Yeah.
to a leading edge number of farmers that are using it to collect data and do variable rate prescriptions, for example. But about a quarter of farms already have a drone of some sort that they're, if nothing else, using to look at their field from above and figure out what problems they have with their equipment.
Yeah. Or even just to check on cattle, right?
Ranchers use a drone more religiously than the crops guys. Crops guys
Oh,
tend
yeah.
to buy them for crop scouting and they use them for a week or two, maybe. But ranchers, those that have a drone, tend to use them as a regular everyday tool.
Huh. I think it's fascinating, but we're only just at the tip of the iceberg right now, eh? Like it's
Well,
obviously it's not going anywhere. It's a tool that's just going to get bigger and more widely used.
within 5 years, I think you'll see drones that are spraying fields with the operator sitting in the cab of the truck of the pickup, manning a swarm of drones.
Oh,
Um,
really?
it's
Yeah.
coming very quickly.
Yeah,
It's
it
just an
moves quickly.
incredible tool for some of these uses. The one that I think most farmers will immediately see is brush control on pasture. You can't currently hire your neighbor to go do that for you because they don't want to wreck their boom.
Yeah.
You don't want to do it yourself with your own high clearance because you don't want to wreck your own equipment. And you can't hire a custom operator unless you're willing to pay double the usual rate. And the drones will do a better job of that than anything else. So it's coming at us very quickly.
Hmm. Now, other than the regulations, are there any challenges or barriers that we're facing right now?
Uh, while in the at the 30,000 foot level, yes, battery technology is what we need to operate these drones. They just will not do well with a gas engine on them, for example, because then you need mechanical drives. And part of the way that drones work is an electric motor, and that requires battery power. And
Yeah.
as that improves for other industries, we'll see the drone industry benefit from that as well. But it's still a limitation. When you're spraying with a spraying drone, for example, every 5.5 to 6 minutes, you're stopping for both water and battery.
Okay. And then drones also have to be able to carry a pretty heavy payload, right?
That's right. Yeah. The biggest ones from DJI currently have a 40-liter tank. And I think within a year or two, you'll see that go up to 60-liter tanks. There's a lot of weight there.
All right. Is there anything else you wanted to mention or anything I'm forgetting to ask you? Because it's just a fascinating area.
Yeah. No, just the school specifically. People always wonder what they're going to do in 2 days, right?
Yeah.
Why is it a 2 day school? And at the end of the 2 days, everybody tells us, well, now we understand because there's so much material packed in there. But we don't make it an academic exercise. We switch from flying to classroom session back to some more flying and some exercises. So it's fun. We get a lot of. Last year we had three generations come together: a
Oh, nice.
grandfather, a father, and a son from the same farm. All came to the same school, and we get a lot of that. Families coming together, and it makes for a really fun event too.
You haven't been in this area for a while, though. I think I took this course, this actual course in actually during the pandemic.
Oh, did you? Where?
Yeah.
What location?
Um, I think you guys came right to the county office, from what I remember.
Oh,
I,
yes, we
I don't
did.
know
We
if you
did some
recall that.
custom
Yeah, it
training
was.
for Flagstaff. We did it in 1 day instead of 2 days for you.
Yeah.
But it's actually the same instructor. So Robin Harrison was your instructor that time. He's coming back to teach this class as well.
Oh,
He's
okay.
out of
That's
bike.
great. All right. Well, thank you, Marcus, for taking time out of your schedule to join me today. It's been a pleasure having you on the Flagstaff County podcast.
Okay, thank you very much. Look forward to seeing you soon.